So that option is not available unless government again defaults.
Your Honor, the arbitration case can easily be taken out today if the MRTC board simply passes a resolution and cancels it.
So the only way nga po na pwedeng bilhin ng gobyerno yan next year and to unwind it is if it intentionally defaults.
Yes, Your Honor, under the agreement. However,
parang labo naman yata, no? Diba?
Your Honor, I'd like to add a third option, which is not in the agreement, but which is common in business practice. It's called
Mutual agreement.
It's called a compromise agreement, where both parties, by consensually agreeing to terminate said agreement, can actually get together, discuss terms, and unwind the full agreement.
Now, if the 2.5 billion includes the rental payments and the bonds held by Land Bank and DBP and the remaining 20%, ano yung balance po ng kumpanya? Just out of curiosity, can you give me a ballpark figure?
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I don't have the figure, as we have never really ever thought of it, since there was really never even any discussion on it. But if there is a discussion on it, we would gladly make public the intentions of the company as to how much. At this point, Your Honor, I have no idea of it, since we've never discussed it in our board.
Is 13 billion even close? I ask these questions, Mr. Sobrepena, because we're discussing the budget now.
Yes.
If it won't come to pass, if you're too far off anyway, I'd rather use the fiscal space for some other purpose next year than for this purpose na masasayang lang.
Your Honor, my reaction to the 53 billion, I believe the 53 billion would be just enough to pay Land Bank and DBP for the shares. And my basis for this is the offer of Metro Pacific, where it offered 1.2 billion, exactly the same amount, to government to buy out the stake of Land Bank DBP on the shares, as well as the common shares of private sector. And however, I think the DBP Land Bank stake alone today is already worth approximately 1.1 to 1.2 billion dollars, or the 53 billion pesos.
Yung pa lang.
Yung pa lang. And that only accounts for 80% of the funds.
May 20% ka pang held outside.
There's 20% out there, and if you use that as a basis, it would be approximately worth $200 to $300 million more, not counting the equity stakeholders.
I know.
Yeah. No, so I believe the 53 billion is insufficient at this point, starting basically with DBP Land Bank and the bondholders.
I'll go to the MPIC proposal actually in a while. Sir, may I ask, DOTC told us in the last hearing that MRTC were supposed to procure the additional trains under the contract. Is that correct?
Yes.
They also told us that you did not.
Your Honor,
That's what, no, I'm telling you what they said. Because we asked them, why are you doing it? Why haven't you done it?
yes.
They told us that you were supposed to do it, but that you were not doing it. And if I recall correctly, the DOTC secretary said that the administration had to exercise its political will to be the one to do it. And now it's being done. Can you clarify that, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to state the series of proposals private sector has made to the OTC, starting from 1999. As early as 1999, we submitted a proposal for what we call the Phase 2 project, the capacity expansion, additional 48 cars, and the upgrade of the system all the way to Monumento, as envisioned under the BLT agreement. This was reiterated in another proposal in year 2000, which was in fact approved by the NEDA. And again reiterated in year 2002, another improvement, another new 48 cars. In 2002, the NEDA, who approved it, made a condition in 2002. You have to remember, we opened or inaugurated the system in year 2000, Your Honor. In 2002, the NEDA made a condition on our proposal, and that was that they wanted at least 350,000 ridership in the EDSA MRT system. This happened in year 2003, which led to another proposal by the private sector in 2004 to again add 48 cars, capacity expansion, improvement of the system, having already reached what we call the triggering event of 350,000 riders on EDSA.
350.
However, in 2004, we started negotiating the agreement. As a matter of fact, we negotiated the internal rate of return with then Secretary Purisima under the GMA term, Secretary of Finance. And we negotiated the internal rate of return to be reduced from 15 to 11%, which led to a new proposal in 2005, again, to at a lowered IRR rate. And finally, our last proposal was in 2007. Since all of these were unacted upon, we reiterated again another proposal to provide 48 cars, capacity expansion, upgrade of the MRT3 system in 2007. At this year, Your Honor, the DOTC began to question us as to why we were buying new cars. They had the idea that it would be cheaper if we bought second-hand trains in 2007.
Huh?
Yes. In 2007. This took us aback, and we refused to actually offer government second-hand trains. This led to a long impasse and discussions and letter writing. I think we wrote a total of how many letters? 15, 20 letters? 15 letters to the OTC with regards to this, including refusing to buy second-hand trains. And finally, in frustration, Your Honor, we went into a cooperation agreement with Metro Pacific. Since all of these proposals...
What year was that, sir?
This was in 2011. MRTC went into a cooperation agreement with Metro Pacific for Metro Pacific to take the initiative to make an offer under a BOT proposal, a PPP proposal. This government.
This was done in 2011.
2011, Your Honor.
I think under the term or watch of Secretary De Jesus,
Yes.
and then again reiterated during the term of then Secretary Rojas of
Yes.
DOTC.
Yes, Your Honor. And the MPIC proposal basically called for investing $300 million in investments in the new facility. Again, 48 new cars, upgrade, system, improvement, under a BOT at no cost to government. At no cost to government. Plus, they would invest $350 million in the MRT bonds, or a total of $650 million would be invested by Metro Pacific. The $350 million would be used to initiate the buyout of the MRT bonds. Their proposal also, as I recall, mentioned buying the bonds at $1.2 billion, $1.1 billion, and $150 million to the private stakeholders. That was their envisioned budget in 2011. It also envisioned taking over the operation, upgrading the system, adding new trains, improving the signaling, and eventually getting paid back from fare bucks. In all these proposals, there would be no cost to government. And no subsidy, by the way.
When the new administration come in, didn't you reiterate your proposal to buy new trains, upgrade the system, etc., etc.?
Yes, Your Honor, and this was done through the Metro Pacific Cooperation Agreement. Your Honor,
2011 na po.
Yes. The reason we went through the Metro Pacific proposal is we have had many outstanding proposals in the OTC under the BLT format, Build, Lease, Transfer format, which called for a certain government guarantee on the payments. No? And we thought that perhaps the government no longer wanted to enter into such a transaction with a guarantee. And this is the reason we went into a cooperation agreement with Metro Pacific so that it's purely on a BOT PPP format.
So that's the reason why you need government approval